Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. Today is the last day to pick up a copy of my latest publication, Social Distancing. I gave myself a 30-day window, and that is up today, May 18th. So if you haven't picked up a copy, now is the time to do so. It's only available for 30 days, and then it is gone forever. So all of you that have picked up a copy already, I really appreciate it. This was all done to raise money for the local food banks, and we're going to be able to donate a lot of money. So more on that after the 30 days are officially over, but I really appreciate the support. Again, if you're interested, there's a link in the description. But now that it's been out there and people have been receiving their copies and it's in hand, I thought we would do a little video about this and talk about some of the photos that didn't make the cut and why they didn't make the cut. So I guess just for reference, if you didn't already pick up a copy or if you have no plans to pick up a copy, what we're going to go ahead and do now is take a quick little flip through the book just so you can get a feel for the project and all of the photos. So that's the book. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, this was sort of a challenge that I set for myself. If you haven't seen the whole video that went into it, I gave myself 30 days to shoot, edit, and publish something all about social distancing and isolation. So I had 3 rolls of HP5 to work with, and it was kind of tough to make it work with just, so few photos, but I obviously did have to make some cuts. I couldn't just put everything in there. I wanted to make sure every photo in here really earned its place. So we're going to take a look at some outtakes from social distancing and why they didn't work. I hope you could see in the little flip through that I was really intentional with which photos I paired together. If there was a pair for a photo, I really wanted to make sure that it was obvious why I paired the two. And then some of the other photos that didn't necessarily have like another photo to pair with it, or if it just really benefited from standing on its own and really adding that extra emphasis on distancing and isolation, then I would leave a blank page for those images. That was kind of my mindset going into laying the book out as well. So the first image you see is the empty street that says, "We're open, please be safe." With the sign and the empty street, for me, that just felt like the perfect kickoff point for the book. From there, you go through a lot of different areas in downtown Chillicothe in some of these photos, and then the final photo, being the cover photo, is a shot of the bridge where you're basically just looking at the horizon line that bleeds directly into the sky, and you don't really know what's ahead over the bridge, and it kind of added to that level of uncertainty that I was definitely feeling when shooting this project, especially when I started it. I gave myself a 30-day window and I had no idea what it was going to look like, so that being the final image, that to me just felt the most appropriate. But there were other photos that, especially while I was out shooting, I had a really good feeling about them, but then once it came to looking at all the photos and putting everything together, I just couldn't find a place for them, and that's what I want to talk about. For instance, this first photo here, in hindsight, I wish I would have done things a lot differently. At the time, I was thinking this would be really fun to work with, using this line at the bottom of the frame to kind of direct your eye up to this S-curve. I was really trying to show just how much of the streets were really empty and combining multiple streets into one frame, but I'm just too far away. I shot the whole project on a 35mm lens, and what I wish I would have done differently is cross the street and filled the entire frame just using that S-curve. Rather than just shooting the street straight on, I would kind of tilt the camera down, and that would kind of put a lot of emphasis on the bottom of the frame, the foreground, and that would just really exaggerate how big the street is and just really add to that kind of open and empty area. I understand what I was trying to do using the lines to lead it there, but I'm just too far away and it just doesn't work. This shot of the parking lot over at the Globe Loft, this is a furniture store downtown, and everybody who has walked by this parking lot, they've taken this photo, so that was immediately one of the first things I thought. Even as I was taking the photo, I was like, I know this is a cliche photo of this spot, everyone takes it, but maybe it will fit, I don't know. But it just doesn't work for a number of reasons. Again, number one, it's pretty cliche because everyone that walks by this takes this same photo, and at the same time, this is kind of how it looks all of the time anyway. I mean, there's street parking as well that I feel like a lot of people use. You rarely see people actually using the parking lot. They just park on the side of the street instead. So this doesn't really look out of place in terms of like everyday life, That was kind of the main focus as I was shooting for this, was taking photos of things that look way different than they normally do, just given the circumstances. And with this could be taken on any given day, not necessarily during the pandemic. And the final reason it didn't work, I just wasn't crazy about the light or the shadow here. So you have that one side of the frame that's in shadow, and you have that kind of nice diagonal line coming down, but it's just not enough. It would have been better if it was later in the day and you would have had like a really dramatic shadow stretching across the frame. I think that would have worked better. Or maybe if I shot it when the entire parking lot was, in broad daylight and there was no shadow at all, maybe that would have worked better too. I'm not sure, but this is just too like in between. It needs to have a stronger stance on one end or the other. This is the parking lot over at Carl's Townhouse, and Carl's was featured in the same spread with two different images, one with the stool on the chair, kind of shot through the window into the diner, and then also the back patio area with all of the empty tables as well. And I shot this photo because you never see it completely empty like this. People are always at Carl's, but I just wasn't crazy with how it turned out. It just felt really flat to me. There wasn't enough dimension. Maybe if I would have taken a few steps further to my right and kind of shot it from the side, I could have had a little bit more dimension added to it and it wouldn't just feel so flat and boring. But either way, I just wasn't crazy about the photo, and I wasn't going to try and shoehorn it in there, especially considering I already had Carl's kind of prominently featured with two images in the same spread. When I shot this photo, I felt like it was going to work really well, and I was pretty excited about it. It was really harsh light, so I was getting really defined shadows from the tree branches in the background, the bench, the majestic sign that kind of stretches across the entire frame there, and all of that layering over the lines on the sidewalk and the street. And it just felt like a good photo. When I took the photo, I remember I was really excited about it, but once I got the film back, I realized it just wasn't enough. Like there wasn't enough going on, or it felt like there was just too much dead space kind of up in the top right frame, basically from the middle of the frame and up on the right side. That whole top quarter of the frame just feels kind of bare to me. And on top of that, my FM2 had some kind of like overlapping issue, which is what's causing that line on the left side of the frame. All in all, just decided to cut it. Just didn't work. Now this photo I'm still torn on, I'm not gonna lie. I like all of the highlights on the chain link fence being out of focus. They add this nice little kind of pop and glow to the image that, to me, I just really like the way that looks. And I like that there's no signage on any of the buildings that you can see. Everything is just really blank and empty with the blank parking lot, the alleyway, all of that stuff. But in the end, it just felt too on the nose and too cliche, having this chain link fence, basically blocking me from the subject, what I'm focused on. It's in the foreground covering the frame, and it's this barrier, that's isolating me from the subject. It just felt too, cliche, on the nose. I decided to scrap it. But there's still part of me that likes it. Something about it is still pleasing to me, but regardless, it didn't make it into the book. So I hope you guys got something out of this. I think it's really important for photographers to be able to look at their work and be honest with themselves and talk about what it is that doesn't work and why it doesn't work. It's fun to talk about the photos that you're really excited about and that you're proud of, but I also think it's really important to take a look at the photos that didn't work out and see what you could have done in hindsight in order to actually make it better. The truth is, the majority of the photos that we make as photographers are bad. We just make a lot of bad photos. Every single photographer does it. The majority of any photographer's work, they are looking at a lot of bad photos with a few good photos. That's just the honest truth. But if you just trust that if you keep shooting and the more you shoot, you're gonna come away with better photos. You can't make a good photo if you don't make a photo at all. So those are my thoughts. That's my lesson for the day. I hope you guys got something out of it. If you've picked up a copy of Social Distancing, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for that. And before we wrap up, I want to take a minute to thank my sponsor today, which is Squarespace. I've been using Squarespace for years, long before they ever decided to sponsor this channel, and that's because they really are the best all-in-one platform to making a website. With tons of templates to choose from, it's super easy to customize things and really fine-tune it into how you want it to look, and you don't need tons of training to do it. It's really easy to do, but if you ever do need help, they have 24/7 award-winning customer service. With all the different features they have for marketing and analytics and even the commerce options like having an online store, it's never been easier to have a great-looking website. So if you want to try Squarespace out, you can do so entirely free at squarespace.com, but if you're ready to get signed up, I can save you 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain by going to squarespace.com/MattDay. That's it for today, though. I really appreciate your guys' support on social distancing. Again, this is the last day to pick one up, so if you are interested, there is a link in the description. But I really, really appreciate all the positive support and response you guys have given me so far. It means a lot. And I'd love to hear what your favorite photo or maybe favorite spread is in the book, so let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We have new videos every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but that's it for today. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.